And now, as promised, a new development for an old product, milk. It's not just a healthy food, it's becoming a resource for the textile industry. That's because the protein in milk can be turned into organic fiber. Surprise? It's a great way to use the waste products of milk production that for one reason or the other are no longer fit for human consumption. Germany alone produces 2 million tons of waste milk annually. That could be turned into cloth. See for yourself.
Cows give us milk. No one ever expected them to influence the fashion world, however. But now the fashion world needs what they provide. Here you can see milk hanging on a rack. Milk protein, to be exact, in dark blue, black, and gray. The new material is soft, almost like silk. Clothes made from milk protein. Produced and designed by Anke Domaska, who's also a microbiologist.
You can't smell that it's made from milk. It's funny, but the first thing people do is sniff it. There's no way to know that it's made out of milk. It's very silky. Our fiber is made out of protein just like wool or silk. And because the surface is so smooth, it feels like silk.
Domaska produces textile fibers made of waste milk, which is not fit for human consumption. It's an idea that could radically change the textile industry. It all began in a kitchen. Domaska, a rookie microbiologist, bought a supermarket blender, a big canning thermometer, and lots of protein powder. Her goal was to create a fiber that she could use to make clothes.
You start with the milk, let it get sour, and then it separates. The white flakes down here are the milk protein. If you scoop it out, you'll have curds, and that dries into a protein powder, and that's our raw material.
Now Domaska is mass-producing milk protein fibers. The raw material is milk powder that's mixed with water and natural ingredients. That's made into a kind of dough, which is pressed through nozzles into a thread thinner than a human hair. Fibers made of milk protein have many advantages. They're hypoallergenic and have no traces of chemicals. They also turn waste milk into a resource and are easy to compost.
Our milk fiber breathes, regulates temperature, is antibacterial and non-flammable. That makes it not only interesting for the textile sector, it's also interesting in technical terms. For example, you can make a foam out of it. You can spray it. You can turn it into foil or nanomaterials. It has unbelievable potential that we're just starting to discover.
The breakthrough came in the fashion world when some Hollywood stars liked the clothes made of milk. Domaska had the idea to send those stars clothing designed especially for them. A smart move. If the idea catches on, these milk cows will be getting other assignments in the future, like producing raw materials for fashion labels.
Hey Sharon, will you be the next to present a dress made out of milk protein fibers on our show? It will be an awesome idea.
Of course, NT, and as we always say, good ideas work everywhere, and that certainly holds for our next story. It's about a German-Ugandan joint project. They have developed a method to turn maize spindles into briquettes, a great way to make use of biomass waste. They want to see people in Uganda use less firewood and more of these natural briquettes for cooking and heating. Our Echo reporter went out to investigate.
Ndeja University in central Uganda provides meals to 1,800 students every day and uses huge amounts of cooking wood in the process. The university is looking to change that with the help of the German engineer Albrecht Schmidt, who's working with the Energy Research Center to replace wood with more sustainable briquettes made from corn waste. The first new stove is already in operation.
It was a former firewood stove, and we adapted it to the briquettes. We are already planning to adapt another stove for briquettes, to briquettes, and one by one will be replaced, I think.
The university hopes to radically reduce its wood consumption. Uganda has a huge problem with deforestation. Every year, 90,000 hectares of forest are lost in the country. Much of the wood is used to cook food.
Most of the institutions talk about schools, talk about prisons, talk about universities. They use a lot of fuel for cooking. And mainly the fuel that is being used for cooking is the firewood, where they cut trees. And you know, this is not sustainable anymore. So we started thinking, can we be able to apply briquettes on an institutional level?
The university gets the materials for its briquettes from local farmers who grow corn, also known as maize.
We take the maize only, the cobs we just throw in the garden, or we just leave it there to rot. It is good that when these people came, they are at least giving us some money and take the cobs.
Albert Smith has persuaded the farmers to collect the cobs rather than throwing them away. For 3 large sacks, each farmer receives the equivalent of $1. It's a welcome source of extra income for the small-scale farmers who often struggle financially. The cobs are dried at a small factory, then placed in a carbonizer for 2 days. It turns them into charcoal. They are then mixed with water and molded into briquettes. These are left to dry in the sun for another 5 days. Then they're ready for use. The factory produces a ton of briquettes each week. That's nowhere near enough.
We cannot produce much more. And we calculated to replace all the firewood of our university kitchen and this school we provide with briquettes, we need around 4 tons per week. So we have to build another bigger carbonizer.
Since starting to produce briquettes, the university has massively cut back on firewood use. That's not only helping to preserve the forest, it's also saving the institution money. And the idea is catching on. A nearby school has now also introduced a new technology. Albert Smith is hoping the project will set a precedent nationwide and help stop the rapid disappearance of Uganda's forest.
Wow! Cooking for 1,500 students with eco-friendly maize briquettes. That helps to protect our forests. There are so many more good ideas out there, but you'll have to wait until next week before we tell you about some more of them. For now, it's goodbye from me, Sharon Momanyi, in Nairobi, Kenya.
Bye, Sharon. Yes, that's all for today, but before we end the show, we'd like to ask you to send us your stories. In April, we'll be planning a special about extreme weather. As a result of climate change, extreme weather is on the rise. Mega storms, heavy rainfall, flooding, cold snaps, heat waves, and drought are all impacting ever more on us around the world. We would like to know how these issues have affected you. Please send an email to the email address showing on the screen, including text, photos, videos, or even audios. You can also post on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram using the hashtag Extreme Weather Stories. Please join us again next week for more Eco Africa. I'm Naota Igbe. Goodbye from Lagos.